Hi everybody, welcome. Tammy from Tammy's Homesteading Crafts. Today we are again in the knitting corner, YouTube corner, sewing room, whatever you guys want to call it. We are going to be doing another knitting video. This one's going to be a little different though, guys. I want to show you something that I do when I'm knitting. So it's kind of like a knitting tip. That I figured out how to fix and correct it. So I thought I would share with you guys. So if that is something that interests you, stick around. Okay, so before we get into our little tip, I just want to welcome all of you to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really want to thank all of the new subscribers I have had over the last month. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate it. And for those of you who have not subscribed, please consider doing so. It does benefit me by you subscribing to my channel. Also, feel free to ring the bell and do that notification, because by doing that, it allows you to know when I put a new video out. It will send you a notification from YouTube. Also, hit that thumbs up button, the like button. That helps YouTube to know that my video is liked, and they will put my video out in front of more people who are looking for this type of content. So do those two things. It really does benefit me and help me by you doing those two things to get my channel to grow and for more people to see my videos. Okay, so that is it for this. I appreciate all of you guys for subscribing and for watching my videos. So let's get into our tutorial. Okay, so for what I want to show you guys and try to figure out what, show you how to correct this. If you guys can see, let me get it into the camera here. These stitches, they kind of twist a little bit. When you see them, they twist. Compared to, this is knit back and forth, short rows. And that's the stitch I get. When I knit in the round, see my stitches? I'll put them right here next to each other so you guys can see the difference in those two stitches. So this one twists a little bit and this one doesn't. So when I'm working in the round, I get a perfect knit stitch, stockinette stitch all the way around. Even when I do short rows or work back and forth, I end up getting this kind of a stitch, which is like a little bit of a twisted stitch. And it doesn't matter, and it's not a big deal, and I've noticed it a lot in my knitting and just didn't know how to fix it. And this is the first thing I did in the round after I was knitting flat. So I did my short rows, and then once I started knitting in the round, you could see that it evened itself out. Well, it's not such a big notice because we have this solid blue line that kind of breaks up these two. I think if they were right close together, it would be more noticeable. So I didn't seem to really, I didn't care, let's put it that way. But I didn't know how to fix the issue that I was having, for one. Yeah, so this is what I'm going to, I finally figured out what I do to get that stitch. And I noticed it, and I had to really try to figure it out when I was doing my baby sweaters, because you would do short rows on the back, and then when you come around, I was having this right in the center of the middle of the sweater where the arms attached. And I really had to think about what I was doing to keep this from happening, but I didn't know how to fix it. I was just kind of watching what I was doing, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So I guess I'm going to show you guys now what I did to correct this for the next thing. So, okay, so you have your knitting needles. For this one, I'm showing you on just some straight needles that I have. But when you are knitting, you're always taught to take the front stitch on your knitting needles and knit. So that's what when I taught myself, that's what I taught. You do the front stitch, unless you're trying to do a twisted rib, then you would use, the back needle, but if you're, or the back loop, but if you're just doing a regular stockinette stitch all the way across, you take the stitch off the front of the needle, the stitch that is hanging on the front of the needle. So to get everything stockinette, you're going to knit all the way across, and then on the way back, you're going to purl. And let me show you. Okay, so now we're ready, and we're going to purl these stitches. And I don't know if it, oops, sorry. I don't know if it really matters when you purl, if you purl and go like this, or if you go like this. I don't know as it really matters. I've always gone up, just because it seems like it's easier to drag the yarn through for me. As you go above, you're able to hold that yarn and drag it through. That's what was easier for me. So that's kind of how I taught myself to purl. Now, I don't know if, you still get the purl stitch, so it's not wrong, but I don't know if this is what causes my issue that I have here by the way I purl. I don't know. Because I'll show you once I'll purl this across, and I'll stop. We'll purl this across, and I will show you what it looks like when I go to knit my next stitches after I've done this purl. So I'll purl this across real quick, and then I will show you what the next row looks like. Okay, so when you're purling, you're still going in from the right to the left, and you're wrapping your yarn around the needle. So that, like I said, I don't know if it matters whether you wrap it from the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom. I don't know as it really matters. You're still purling because you're going in from the right to the left. Okay, so now we have our purl rows done. And we can see that our stitches are oops, sorry. I'm looking at my knitting and not looking through the camera, because cameras, I have to have it a little bit higher than what I'm able to sit and see. But as you can see, the stitches on the needle are kind of, they do this. Your top needle, your top stitch is over a little bit from your bottom stitch, which is not a big deal. But if you knit, oops, I don't want to, I only need one. But if you knit that top stitch, you have to turn your, you have to really work to get from left to right into that stitch. And it's not comfortable. And this is how I've always done it, because I was always taught that you need to knit off that front needle. But I will knit this across like this, and I will show you, then I'll purl back and I'll show you what we've got. Okay, so I did a couple of rows. I wanted to get it so that you guys could see, and I'm hoping it's coming across clear, where you can see that it's kind of doing a crisscross pattern here. And it's, as you can tell, it's not really an easy way to knit when you have to try to get it from this side to go, oops, to go over to knit that. So what I found, and what fixed the issue for me, is when you're knitting, it's just real easy to go right into this stitch here. It's, it's almost like it wants to go right into that stitch, and you're going behind that front stitch. It evens it out. What I've noticed, when you try to go here, you're taking this stitch and you're twisting it. And that is what is giving that twist effect on your needle. You're twisting your knit stitch, where going behind it, you're leaving it straight, and it allows to flatten out. And I didn't know that. I wasn't paying attention to that. It's just you're always taught to take that front stitch. So I was taking it, but as I looked at it, it twists that, and you can see, and I take it off the thing, how it's twisted. If you go back here, it's almost like you're just slipping it over onto your stitch. So by doing that, by just putting your needle in behind it and doing a regular knit stitch, it's making it nice and flat, and it's not twisting it. See, this one will twist that. That is how you fix this issue. Now, it's like I said, it's not wrong if you're knitting, and I actually liked the way this does, and it's just a little bit thicker. It gives it a twisted stockinette stitch. It gives a nice little pattern to it. I don't mind it, but when it's in the front of your sweater and you have a rib section in the middle of your sweater that does this, and everything else is smooth, and there's nothing that's stopping it from being right one on top of the other, it does stand out, and you notice it. And I didn't know I wasn't aware of how to fix it. When I did my other bandana cowl that I just did, I was like, okay, I can't have this again because there was no center color that was going to break it up. So it was going to be the same color from point to end. And you were definitely going to see the stitches when they came out that they were twisted and not twisted. So I had to figure out what was happening and how I was doing that. So when I started looking at my knit, I was like, well, it's really comfortable to go right here. It's just, it automatically just wants to slide right in there. And I've been this whole entire time fighting to do this way, and it's twisting it. So that, like I said, it's really not a tip. That's just something that I found out, I figured out. And if you guys are doing the same thing that I've been doing, when you knit in flat, like I said, if you're knitting everything flat and you're putting it together, it's not going to be a problem. It's only a problem when you start knitting in the round and you do short rows. Because then you can definitely see that you're knitting differently. So knitting in the round, you never purl, so you're never changing that stitch on the back to do anything different. Now, like I said, I don't know if you knit like that and you purl by putting your yarn. I do mine when I purl. Let's see. How do I purl? I do my yarn from bottom to top. So I don't know if you go top to bottom. Do you have the same issue? I don't know. I don't know. I just know I do top to bottom, and this is the issue that I have. So if you knit like that and you do, if you knit like this and you do the reverse of what I do in purling, maybe you don't have that issue. And that's why you don't have it. Because you purl differently than I do. I don't know. I've never looked at the purling to see if it does the same thing on purling as it does with the knitting. I just know that's how I purl, and then this, by going in this back piece, the back loop, gave me my straight flat stitches on the front without the twist. So that is my little tip for today's video. Like I said, it really isn't a tip. It's just something that I do, and I didn't know how or why I was doing it and how to fix the issue. But yeah, it's not that I was knitting wrong. It's just when you're knitting in the round, you knit differently than you do knitting flat and by purling the back sections. At least I was different. So I figured out what was causing my issues, and I thought I would show you guys so that if you do this same thing that I do, you now know how to fix it, and you don't have the middle of your sweaters or cowls or anything having the 2 stitches on them. Like I said, it's not such a big deal because this is a different color and it just kind of breaks it up, and then you don't realize because I was holding 3 colors here and I've got that white color in there or the lighter color in there. You don't notice that it's not a twisted, and then you go to this. But I think if these were right one on top of the other like this, you would definitely notice that they were twisted. So that is it for today's video, guys. I just wanted to show you guys that, and it's probably going to be a pretty short video. Don't really have anything else to talk about. I don't want to talk about shop or anything like that. I just wanted to show this so that if people are looking for a knit related video for fixing a twisted stockinette, this is what I found to do that. Well, guys, that is it for today's video. Just a little short video on, what I found out as far as when I knit flat, how I kind of twist my knit stitch by the way I was doing it. And like I showed, it looks kind of cool when it's all done the same. So I've knit sweaters and that's the way the stitch looked on everything. So I didn't think it was a big deal because everything was flat, and I seamed up my sides and everything. Last year was the first year I knit anything other than socks in the round that I had to do short rows. So when I did my baby sweaters, I noticed it first on that cowl, that first cowl that I had, I noticed it. And then when I was doing the baby sweaters, I was really trying to keep track of what I was doing so that I knew how to fix it. I just had to really watch what I was doing, but I wasn't paying attention what I was doing. I didn't realize what I was doing. And then the other day when I was doing my other cowl and it was all one color, and I'm like, I don't want that to happen because I don't want to see that line in there. I want to figure this out. So that's when I looked and noticed that, you have your knit stitches, your front stitch is here and your back stitch is back here, and you go here like this, you twist them. Where if you just go here, it straightens it out. And it gives you a nice V all the way up, which I wasn't, until I physically slowed down and watched what I was doing. I didn't realize what I was doing. So I hope this helped you guys. I hope if you have this issue, this will give you the aha moment like it did me, to be like, oh, that's what I have to do. And you know what? It's a lot easier to knit into that back loop after you've purled than it was to try to force that yarn over here to get that stitch. And then you twisted it. So it was really like an aha moment for me. And like I said, I hope this helped you. And I hope if you do the same thing, if you knit that same way, that will be like, oh, now I know how to straighten that out so that I can get that straight flat stockinette look instead of that cross twisted look. Okay, so that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you might have learned something. And as always, I will see you on the next one. Have a good day. Bye.